Well, yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR562. It's AEW Double or Nothing. I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE in AEW show is a fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, hello. Not too bad, apart from like the mugginess of the weather today. Doing all well. Looking forward to reviewing this AEW. It seems like we've been talking a lot about WWE lately, so it's about time we got back on AEW.
Yeah, and you've been on fire recently as well, so you don't care, do you, what we do,
Well, I
you
mean, I
know?
don't like to blow my own trumpet, but we'll see how I get on in this one.
Yeah, well, up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, speaking of predictions as well, it is Monty. How's it going, man?
Going great, man. I'm excited to be back. I think, like mentioned, it's good to finally, talk about a little bit of AEW, what's been going on, and yeah, man, I'm in good spirits. This was a really good show, Double or Nothing. So I can't wait to really kind of talk about why it was so good. So yeah, I always shit on them when they're horrible. So I gotta do better about giving them props when they're good.
No, I'm exactly the same. I'm prepared to do that today as well. But last but by no means least, 8 o'clock Monday night, and I'm waiting to finally talk to a girl a little taller than me. Her name is Gina. She's a rocker with a nose ring. She wears a 2A, but I'm not quite sure what that means. And when she walks, all the wind blows and the angels sing. But she doesn't notice me, 'cause she's watching wrestling, creaming over tough guys, listening to rap metal, turntables in her eyes. It's like a bad movie. She's looking through me. If you be screaming, someone shoot me. As I fail miserably, trying to get the girl all the bad guys want. 'Cause she's a girl all the bad guys want. Yes, a girl all the bad guys want. It's Gina. How's it going, Gina?
Yeah, I love that one. I was bobbing along with it. It was brilliant. Hello,
Oh,
welcome team. I loved it. That was one of my favorite intros, I think, as well, James. I think you should put that in your top one.
oh, thank you very much. Let me catch my breath back. But no, I thought it was worth it. And especially as soon as I put this together and I think Gina will actually enjoy it rather than shitting on it. So it's worth it. It is worth it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But no, thank you. What up, team? I'm looking forward to doing some AEW reviewing. Like my sister said, it feels like we've been doing WWE for a while, so it's about time we catch up on some AEW news.
Well, it is our AEW catch up show. So we're going to do a few notes because we have kind of been into AEW for during the Owen Hart Foundation tournament and stuff like that, but we'll cover it all basically. Tony Storm beat Queen Aminata, Miyu Yamashita, and Killer Frost. Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Anna Jay, but came up short against Mimi Shakira, who pinned her in a fatal four-way eliminator, also featuring Sky Blue and Azume, who recently beat Mercedes Moné for the Women's Strong title. Mercedes wasn't pinned, but we'll get into that on our New Japan pod. Monet attacked Zume after, but it was Tony Storm who was pinned. So it's going to be Mina versus Tony at Double or Nothing. And elsewhere, Mercedes and Jamie Hayter have been all brawling. That's kind of all they've really done. But Jaxie, what are your thoughts about the two big women's matches as we approach Double or Nothing?
Yeah, I wasn't actually mad at Mina getting this outcome, getting this win. Um, I really like Mina, and I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they recently announced that she's now signed with AEW. Am I
Yep.
correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
you're right.
And that actually excited me. I really do love her as a character, as a wrestler. I think she brings it in the ring. So I'm excited to see like like more she's going to be contributing, being maybe, seen as a full-time member of the AEW roster now. And when it comes to the other match, is this the outcome of both Mercedes and Jamie taking the top spots?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the build up has been with Jamie Hayter, with Mercedes Moné. Do you think that's the right choice, that right final as we
Yeah.
go to Double? I think.
I do. I do believe that, they went with the two strongest female characters that probably could, like, pull the attention of the crowd at such an event like AEW. Especially for me, I think, anyone who's been listening to any previous AEW podcasts know how much of a fan I am of Jamie Hayter, but also we've discussed her current run and previous run so far within AEW, and her time being cut short with an injury, and how she's not really picked up a spark yet since like returning from that injury. So this to me did excite me, that she was being pushed into this sort of Owen Hart Cup main event picture. So I was definitely excited and intrigued by the women that were going into this event.
Yeah, without doubt. And it's like you said with Jamie Hayter, she like I said, returned it all in last year. So it has been quite nearly a year now, isn't it? So it is good to see her actually get some pay-per-view time.
Yeah,
We saw
some progress.
yeah, without doubt. Tony Schiavone celebrated 40 years on TBS with only an 18-year break. I don't know how he did it for so long. Stokely called him a piece of shit, but happy anniversary. Adam Cole did commentary for a whole night on Collision. FTR been battling Cole's mates. Monty, what were your thoughts on the FTR heel turn that we've seen and the match with Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness that's going to come up Double or Nothing? Of course, we love our Nigel, though, don't we?
Yeah, I think that's kind of added an element to the story that at least makes it interesting. Having Nigel, uh, step away from the commentary desk again and be put in these situations because of whatever the I guess the abuse that Dax and the FTR has been kind of putting him through. But I don't know. I mean, I think honestly FTR was kind of running out of steam as baby faces for a while before they finally turned. So I think the turn felt like a breath of fresh air for them, and I do think that this heel run so far, they're kind of getting back because I know it's kind of crazy to really think about it, but FTR has always been better as bad guys in my opinion. So I think that they're kind of getting back into their comfort zone in that regard. And I think this angle with like having a commentary member in the angle and all of that just kind of makes them look more like bullies. And so I think it kind of helps establish what they're trying to do, at least in this incarnation of what FTR is. But we'll see where it goes from here. But I do think it's a nice start to it, and I do wonder like where are we going? Where can we go long term with FTR that we haven't been before? So it'll be interesting to see where we decide to go overall from here. But I do think we had a great start, and like I said, I think they're better at playing heel characters.
Yeah, without doubt. On Dynamite, Will Ospreay and Hangman had their first face-to-face. The Aerial Assassin said it was no longer about Hangman's redemption; it was about Ospreay's ascension. I mean, I know we know the result right now, but at this time and watching the match as well, I was really 50-50, Gene. I don't know about you, but this was probably one of the matches in AEW history. I just wasn't sure who was actually going to win.
Yeah, remind me, who was it that Hangman had to face to get into the final?
I'm not sure, but it was a face-to-face with Ospreay anyway. So,
Yeah, well, either way,
was
like
it Cole Fletcher? Let's say Fletcher. I'm not
I think
100%
it
sure.
was, yeah, because even then, like for me, I was like,
I'm pretty
who's
sure it
going to
was
win this
Fletcher,
one?
yeah.
Because both angles would have been good, to go in, because both kind of would have had a story to add to it, with regards to going in against Will Ospreay and getting to the end here. But no, the face to face was just, a lot of tension. That's just literally how I could call it between these two. Just so much tension within that ring.
Yeah, without a doubt, like you said, it's so much, and again, the result was so much in the air. Rhino showed up in AEW because they were in Detroit. Bucks and Ricochet had a banger of Briscoe, Bailey, and Swerve. Carla beat Knight, and in the main event, Joe beat Claudio on Collision. I had this crazy dream that Zach Gowan confronted Ricochet, and then they actually had a match on Dynamite. Jaxie, did this actually happen, or was I just kind of in a weird acid dream?
I don't remember.
You don't
Maybe I'm
remember
the wrong
a
person,
one-legged
Jack.
wrestler? Did you see any one-legged wrestlers
Oh,
recently on
oh, oh,
AEW?
oh, that.
Oh, you're on about him. Yeah, that was really uncomfortable and awkward to watch. If I'm truly honest, I was kind of distracting myself during that whole match. It was just, I get, like I give props to him because he clearly wanted to do that match, so it's not that. But I just personally, like, yeah, like I don't know. I don't know whether or not it was like poor faith to do that. I'm not sure how many people took it like very well.
No, but Monty again. I think you mentioned Zach Gowen a couple of weeks ago, weirdly enough, and he pops up on Dynamite. It's still good to see him, though, I suppose.
Yeah, because I watched his unfortunate match with Vince McMahon, and Vince killed himself almost at the end of that match. So yeah, it was very weird to see him out of nowhere become relevant again. These little things, and I think like it depends on how you look at stuff. Like I think as a wrestling fanboy of me, I do get a kick out of when even the Rhino reference because of Detroit. Like I do get a kick out of these little fan service things that Tony does from time to time. But I can only imagine. Like I'm glad you asked her first because that's a perfect example of somebody who may not be familiar with the original run, and now it's just uncomfortable wrestling for people who may not understand. That's basically what Zach's gimmick is pretty much with the one leg is that he comes in, he gets pretty much victimized, and he's a underdog, the ultimate one of the ultimate underdog. That's pretty much every match that he had in that original WWE run was kind of like that. Of course, to different degrees because some of those sometimes it was definitely uncomfortable to watch back in the day. And but I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool from like a wrestling nerd point of view. But I'm glad you kind of asked both of us because I did wonder like if people who don't remember that angle or people who didn't like the original angle in the first place because it was uncomfortable. How is it any different putting him in there with Ricochet? Is it just because it's good fun and he enjoys it, or what is it? So yeah,
Mm.
that's the only thing about it. It's like how far removed. Sometimes you can tell Tony gets excited and he does stuff as a fan, but it's like that can mess up the continuity of other things that you have going on in the company. If you know what I'm trying to say
Yeah,
because you're
no, I
not trying to
don't.
tell a consistent story around. Because other than like nostalgic reasons, I really didn't understand why Ricochet and Zach had problems other than getting Ricochet more heel heat.
Yeah, but he's brought Rico back before, hasn't he? So again, he's just a mark for for WWE back in the
Right,
day
like
as a
whether
fully body.
whether I know he hates him or he says all the things he say about WWE, but like when you think about what he references most of the time, he was sitting at home watching a lot of the crap we did, and apparently he liked it because
Yeah, I don't.
I don't remember we didn't really like Rico like that.
No, no. Right,
But
right.
yeah, whatever.
On to beach break. Osprey and Hangman beat Alexander Takeshita in a great match. Hidden Blade buckshot combo. Taz gave a lovely tribute to Sabu, and the main event was a cage match for the AEW title on the line. Samoa Joe versus Mox. After a violent, brutal match, Samoa Joe caught Moxley in the Coquina clutch, and Willow Nightingale powerhouse Hob stopped the Death Riders interfering, but Gabe Kidd threw in the briefcase for Mox. The Death Riders leader used it. Blast the Samoan submission scene and take the win afterwards. Young Bucks came out to do more damage. Kenny Omega trying to make the save, but Okada hit him and sent him into the ring. The Elite lowered the cage again. Swerve Strickland blasted everyone. Swerve stomp. Hills bailed, and the Mogul announced anarchy in the arena for double or nothing. Gina, I love it because AEW doesn't like to overbook things. But in all seriousness, like Beach Break, we had this big main event. Gabe Kidd showed up. We weren't fucking sure, but at least anarchy in the arena was announced.
Yeah, for sure. So this was kind of like the first confirmation that I kind of felt like, okay, this is why they're kind of having all these people come out because I know like the Young Bucks have rubbed people up the wrong way. I know that Mox and the BC, I keep calling them the BCC, sorry, the Death Riders, uh, have pissed loads of people off in ways as well. So if it didn't lead to anarchy in the arena, I would have been a bit confused as to why they're making all of these big factions then and these groups bigger than what they have been before. So yeah, it made sense for them to announce that. But to be honest, it also made me quite excited because of all the players that are announced for this anarchy in the arena. I know that the Young Bucks are usually involved in all of those ones, so I wasn't entirely shocked that they were going to be a part of it this time around. Now that they're back, but it was just nice to see some of the new faces that haven't been in one of these matches before announced.
Yeah, without a doubt. Collision was mostly filler. Megan Bain beat Anna Jay. They got Ric Flair to pay tribute to Mongo. Um, in America, Black Adam apparently replaced Collision. So, at least that's a bonus for some people watching. Dynamite, Raw, and Hangman had their last face-to-face. Swerve, Joe, and Hobbs defeated the Young Bucks and Moxley in a really good match. MJF joined the Hurt Business. Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara interrupted the celebration. Jaxie, that's me wrapping up a month of storyline there. What are your thoughts on MJF and Hurt Business and the thumbs up kind of shenanigans?
Yeah, I mean, at first I kind of wasn't really like understanding or into it or feeling it. I was just kind of like, is this just there to feed content? Like, when we look at MJF as a wrestler and his personality, his character, every sort of faction he's kind of like either put together or joined, he's kind of like turned on, so to speak. So for me, at first, when this storyline started taking place, I honestly thought he was going to get squashed by Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, and they're like, like, get the fuck out of here, sort of thing. Like, I think where things have taken an intriguing turn is how he's managed to sway the Hurt Business into allowing him to join, and I'm not sure if this was a smart move or not on their end, or whether or not they themselves have an ulterior motive or agenda. We know that MVP can be very calculating and smart about decision making here. So there's definitely a lot more intrigue with the way they've built it up, but I think it took a while to get there.
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well, like you said, as long as there's an end game in place for this, rather than just kind of what most groups seem to do nowadays, of just either get released, just move away from each other because of injury. Do you know what I mean? So there has to be,
Yeah.
Rather than just him hanging around for a couple of months and then,
Yeah, exactly. So definitely intrigued to see like how far things go with this, sort of this team up now, and whether or not it'll be something lasting, or whether or not they'll breeze through it. I'm not sure.
No doubt. Mina beat Julia Hart. We saw the Red Spider again, unless I was tripping. We finished to go home Dynamite with the Young Bucks calling Smojo a liar. As the show was about to end, the Smojo Submission Machine came running in with a trash can. A brawl broke out between members of the Anarchy Arena. Led back to the ring. Omega Strickland held the ring with Willow Nightingale, and the Ops dominated outside. Gabe Kidd arrived. Blast Mojo with a briefcase and turned the tide. Fight Emily Young Bucks diving onto a Megan Swerve through the tables outside. And Monty again. This is what Dynamite is. It's just setting the stage really for Double or Nothing. But what are your thoughts on Gabe Kidd's involvement, especially after the comments that he has said, things he said about AEW, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only reason why. I think it's kind of funny. He's been so anti AEW that because we actually have a group in AEW who is claiming to be anti AEW when it comes to Death Riders, I think I kind of understand it from that point of view. But it's definitely ruffled some feathers. I don't know if I sent it to you, but like a lot of the people in Japan per se, they were not happy, man. They were like using his quotes, like everything he said against him, against AEW, they were kind of retweeting it out against him and like saying like stuff like, I thought you was, New Japan, loyal, and basically questioning, well, I guess in a few months we're gonna lose him to AEW too. That's basically the morale of a lot of Japanese New Japan fans surrounding it.
No.
And I thought it was kind of harsh because, like, I was just like, Forbidden Door coming up, I'm assuming, not, it's coming up, and then you have this just one little angle, one match. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But again, it just kind of goes back to kind of what I was saying about how the morale from Japanese New Japan fans, whenever homegrown New Japan talent shows up there, they're not happy. They're not necessarily optimistic about it, or and they're not invested
Mm.
enough in AEW to care about what their guy doing there. So that was what I kind of took away from it. I enjoyed it. I kind of got a kick out of it. I'm always happy to see Gabe, and like I said, it kind of makes sense with the Death Riders per se if you know more about him. But I'm not crazy. He does look and come off hypocritical, like a hypocrite because he has had a lot of negative things to say about Tony Khan, and a lot of negative things to say about AEW, and to be basically in one of their big main events It does make you look a certain type of way to some people, but I think he's just doing his job, to be honest.
Yeah, without a doubt. On to Collision. Is Adam Cole a commentator now? Does anybody know? But I guess he's not. I know he's good on the mic, but still, there was nothing on note on there. Road to Double or Nothing, as well as the countdown and 0 hour. Great. That was 2 hours of my time. 25th May, then Double or Nothing. The 0 hour had RJ, Renee, and Double J. Prince Nana joined, so did Velvet Sky. And then the buy-in match was Anna Jay and Harley Cameron versus Megan Bain and Penelope Ford. And what started with some innocent comedy turned into several minutes of Bain and Ford dominate the action, wearing Jade down the corner of the ring and cutting her off from her partner. Bit of separation, a hot tag to Cameron sparked a Bayface comeback. The back half of the match was a bit messy, but ultimately Bain neutralised outside, allowing Cameron to deliver her finishing manoeuvre, dubbed as such by the Lovable Underdog for the win. Bollocks. Gina, what are your thoughts on this match?
It was kind of a standard. We have seen the feud between these four growing over the past few weeks on Dynamite and Collision. And although it's been enjoyable, I've enjoyed seeing Harley Cameron, grow into her character and grow her own kind of fan base and love. Um, it was kind of just a standard, really. I knew that, the heel team would be trying to segregate one partner. They seemed really dominant, which was kind of worrying because in my eyes, I felt like I don't know. I don't think this is Megan's first per view. I think she's a couple pay-per-views in now,
Mm,
but with the way they've been pushing her, I would have expected her to get the win here. It didn't make sense to me that she didn't get the win, especially because they looked so dominant as a team. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Harley and Anna getting the win because they have been dominated for quite a lot over the past few weeks, over the house shows and Dynamite and Collision. So for me, it's a nice thing that they got a win on the big pay-per-view event, but I also kind of felt it didn't really make sense and that maybe Megan and Penelope should have got the win, especially with what happened the night after, which I'm sure we'll touch upon after reviewing this event. But I'll continue this when we get to it again next. But
yeah.
this outcome didn't make sense for what happens next for their storyline between these four. So yeah, I had mixed reviews. I was happy for the ladies because I thought they put a great match on. But in terms of storyline wise and outcomes, I got a little confused.
Yeah. What would you score out of five?
Um, I still enjoyed the match. I'll give it 3 3/4.
3 and 3/4. Yeah, I mean that's what I said bollocks for. Really was the predictions. I do like comedy spots. There's no doubt about that. But Jaxie, I think Gina touched on it as well, and this is our worry because we know AEW. We're worried
Mm.
that Megan Bain will kind of fade away soon, like a Deanna Pratzo or Thunder Rose. Or do you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
it doesn't
Yeah,
seem to
I
last
mean, it's
long, does it?
already you're seeing the obvious signs here, like with this being even placed on the buy-in rather than like sort of the main show, you're not really kind of showing off like what Megan can do. And I think exactly as my sister said, we'll discuss, like sort of what takes place like 24 hours later, but this makes no sense to like for her to take an L here, like and for it being on a pay-per-view event. If anything, if we are trying to keep her momentum, this should have been an easy win for her. Like even with it being a street fight, she should have easily dominated in a way that like it's still her name is still being discussed, and what she was able to do. I'm just worried that, as you just said, she'll go down the same sort of similar route that Diana Perrazzo and others have sadly fallen into, which is sort of like those only used really on Collision. um
Yeah.
so it is intriguing to see where things will go from here. But I agree. I'm going to give it a 3 and 3/4. I think all the women actually performed very well in that match. I just didn't really understand the outcome if there is like an agenda to push someone like Megan Bain, and really what the outcome like kind of we'll discuss shortly after.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah, without a doubt. Monty, again, not probably much to add, but your prediction was different to ours, so I bet you're pretty smug.
Hey man, I'm not pretty smug about it. I'm just saying, they kept getting their ass whooped every week. in my opinion, it was more so just like, yes, Megan can dominate. I think Megan will be fine. I get your fear. You're 100% right in that fear. Uh, but I think that's not necessarily. In my opinion, that's on Tony and them. That's on them. Like, you have to try to build more than Tony Storm and Mercedes, and you have to put more of a focus on other women and actually have them have some type of mobility or purpose other than having a decent match every 3 to 4 weeks. And that's on them. They're gonna have to get better at that. So can Megan definitely end up being one of those ladies you guys have mentioned? 100%. So I'm not trying to say you guys are overreacting. I'm just saying that to me, my thought process when I made my prediction was, the popularity is a kickoff show. They're probably gonna let the baby faces go over because good vibes, start off the show, have a little fun. Like, I didn't think it would be a big time like deal when it comes to it, just from my point of view. But other than that, I mean, it was fun. I thought, like you said, Megan still got a chance to look great as she's done. Like, the power moves she was doing in this match were really cool, and like I thought everybody did what they needed to do. But I definitely understand though you guys' sentiments and all that. I'm not just talking about it because I got right or whatever. But yeah, this was cool. I didn't have a problem with it overall, but I definitely understand y'all concerns. But I think Megan has a chance to still be fine because she's so unique. So if they don't end up giving her something to build towards going forward, then I just think that'd just be another misstep by AEW.
What would you score out of five, Monty?
3.5.
3.5. I'm going to get 3 3/4. Predictions to WNR Prediction League 2025. We've got 3 prediction leagues: AEW, WWE, and of course the bonus. This is before Battleground and before Double or Nothing. I have to put this, otherwise it will get pretty confused. So the bonus league at the moment is Gina on 9, Jackson on 11. I'm on 12, Monty in the lead with 14. WWE, I'm on 2, Gina on 4, Monty Jaxie on 5. I can't believe it. AEW, I'm yet to score with Jaxie. Gina's on 1, Monty's on 2. We all went Bane apart from Monty, which doesn't fucking surprise us. So he's 1-0 up on the rest. We saw Lance Archer join the panel, and he spoke very well. I would use him a lot more than just kind of standing there looking tough. But anyway, the second match of the buy-in saw RPG Vice, Trent Brett and Rocky Romero, and Crew, Action Andretti and Leo Rush, battle Ring of Honor World Champion Bandido, AR Fox, and Los Titans del Ali, Commander and Hologram in 8-man tag team action. The action broke down late, culminating 7 multi-man high spots, included with the babyface securing the win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this? We didn't do predictions, but this wasn't bad, was it?
I didn't think it wasn't bad, but I also was just kind of like, they always do this where they throw like another match like very last minute on, and I just kind of didn't see the purpose of it. So it was there, it happened, and it was a good match, but it was a match that easily could have been on Dynamite, just prolonging like the buy-in yet again. I'm not going to score it because we didn't. Or do you want to score it even though
Yeah,
we
give,
didn't?
give, it give it a score, but we won't do predictions, obviously.
I'll give it a 3.5. You know.
3.5. Yeah, that's fine. Monty, again, like Jack said, we just don't need it. Put another match that's going to be on the pay per view here. I understand the point of it, but again, it's Tony being Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what better way to put it than that. I mean, it's a fast-paced lucha match. This is more of your stereotypical AEW buy-in content, in my opinion, and something that you kind of should, at this point we should expect from them at least once. I agree that it's hard to be kind of invested in it, other than saying, "Wow, that was a cool move," or "Wow, that was cool," "Wow, that was nice," and that's it. Like, you just find yourself sitting there like, "Okay, cool, nice, nice, nice," and then the match is over, and you're like, "Okay, that was fun," but you're not really invested because there's nothing else there, uh, to really grab you other than good wrestling. Like, sometimes that this is one of the situations, and I've said it in the past, where it's like you watching an AEW show and you like, Tony, I hope we know you got a lot of great wrestlers on your roster. That don't mean you
Mm.
just need to throw them out there and make them have a match. Just because. But hey, like I said, this is more of like that stereotypical AEW buy-in content. So yeah, I didn't have a problem with it because I'm kind of used to it now. But it's definitely always gonna be one of them things that make you be like, okay, that was fine, but did I care to see it? Did I need to see that?
Mm.
And that's gonna be up to the individual.
Yeah. We'll just go out of five.
That's another 3.5. Like I said, right about what you would expect. Good stuff though. I'm not. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. And Gina score out of five. And again, this is interesting because Bandido's Ring of Honor world champion. And, again, might be Tony saying, look, at least the champion's featured here. That might be the only reason.
I mean, I think that might be one of the only reasons why A, he was involved in the match, or B, why the match was put together, so that they could just showcase another champion at some point on this show. But to be honest, not much else for me to say because I think Monty and Jax said it all best. It was a good match, unexpected. So because we had already given predictions, this threw me off a little. Did I miss this one? So yeah, again, it kind of just still shows you the importance of the match. Like, one thing I would have said about the Megan Bain match is at least they had been building a storyline between the two groups over the past few weeks,
Mm.
whether it was necessarily just to give them storyline or to guarantee them a spot on a pay-per-view event. It still at least worked and made it sense for being on the match card. Whereas this one is just another one that's been put together, they've got so many wrestlers that they've got things to do with. And if they wanted to do something like, why don't they copy WWE at one point and do a mixed tag tournament and just start putting these random tag men and women together and just do a random mixed tag tournament? Like, start build your other things up.
Mm.
If you've got nothing to do, not storylines don't always have to revolve around championships, and you can still make it interesting. So, they've got loads of stuff that they can work with, but their creative is not hitting the mark for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Again, it was a good match though. I enjoyed watching all the people involved. But I'll give it a 3.5.
Excellent point there. Yeah, I'm going to give it 3.5 as well. Predictions, of course, unapplicable. Main show. It's incredible, actually, to think it was 6 years ago that AEW kind of started properly. So I will say fair play to it, and I will be praising it as we go along as well. We start with the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament Final. Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Monet. A red hot crowd rode the roller coaster along with the competitors who told the story of determined Monet targeting the back of her opponent. Hayter fought through it, proved to be every bit the wrestler that her opponent was, and nearly put her down on more than one occasion. Ultimately, though, it was a resilient and masterful Monet who simply out wrestled her opponent, catching her with a hammerlock into a small package for the free count. Monty, what were your thoughts on the opening here?
Man, it started off with that methodical pace, but they once they really got going, these two ladies, I mean, they just showed why they two of the best in the world. And I hope this is one of those matches that reminds Tony of what Jamie Hayter is capable of if given the time, if given an angle, and given the opponent. I know everybody is not Mercedes, and at this point, Mercedes' track record speaks for itself. I mean, and she's on another level when it comes to her timing, the heel work, like everything. The pacing of this match, in my opinion, led by Mercedes, was immaculate at times. I know some people may not like the kind of flash roll up there at the end, and I get it. You like, especially in a tournament final. I know me personally, I like decisive finishes and stuff like that. But I think honestly, uh, to I think it was more so like out of respect of what Jamie Hayter is supposed to represent, like as a championship level talent in AEW, and as somebody who should be a threat to Mercedes. I do think this match made her feel that way. And like, again, maybe this is my point of view, but like I think as fans and as people who know what Jamie Hayter is all about, we look at Jamie Hayter as a former AEW champion, somebody who should be at the top of this division, and somebody who belongs in these conversations. But the way the AEW has kind of booked her since she's returned, it's almost like she kind of got to prove that to them again for some reason, at least based on what they've really given her to really sink her teeth into this year, which is kind of crazy to me. So I hope this match, and that's what I came into this match kind of hoping, that maybe working with Mercedes can give AEW the confidence they need to finally pull the trigger and understand what Jamie Hayter actually can bring to the table. But again, Mercedes is excellent. I'm not. It was hard for me to pick against her. Mercedes at this point is like it's almost like when we were predicting Roman. Like it was just like you almost regretted every. Like I really was like, you know what? I think this is the time. Let's go, Jamie. But like I immediately told myself, you know what? Nah, not yet. Maybe in the Tony Storm match. But that's how dominant Mercedes is. Mercedes has been so dominant that even if we end up getting like it seems like we're gonna get Tony and Mercedes, how can I pick against Mercedes even against what Tony has been doing? That's how dominant she has been at this point. So I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. I loved it though. I thought the match was good. It had like some slow moments. I gave it like 4.5 overall, but I really enjoyed it. I thought both ladies start off the show incredibly. They looked great. You can't really ask for more from two of the best in the world easily, in my opinion. So like I said, I just hope this means more for Jamie Hayter and not back to the sidelines for Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, like we talked about with the Megan Bain earlier as well. But Gina, like I said, this was a great way to start. We've had a year of Monet now. I mean, again, she seems to be the crown and the jewel. And as we talk about, uh, it's the meeting that we want with Tony Storm now. This is interesting. It's the two top women in the division.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was being hopeful with my prediction with Jamie. It would have for me, both wins would have made sense regardless because, Jamie returned a year ago. It would have been lovely for her to get this win a year later and put her back in the firing line for the belt against her former friend that she never really lost. So it would have felt like a bit like an underdog story if Jamie had got that win, but also Mercedes has been pushed so highly for the past year. It does also make sense for her to get this win as well and be in that final firing shot because she's not really like gone for the belt yet because she is the TBS champ and she's had numerous other belts, but in a way she lost one recently and it's kind of like she knew she wanted the next one back. So it's no surprise here as well. I think it would both outcomes would have been great and would have made sense. And like Monty said, both of them put on a hell of a match. So I hope that this isn't, back on the back burner for Jamie. I just hope that she can continue a momentum going from this.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing we've mentioned as well with Jaxie. With this, with what happens to Jamie Hayter. It looks like she nearly broke her neck on the finish as well, which you've got to be careful coming back from that. But it would be interesting to see what kind of happens now in the future, especially for Jamie Hayter. But this was an excellent way to start the show, wasn't it?
It really was. They put on such a banger. I don't really have much to say that Monty and Gina didn't cover. But it's just amazing, and I feel like Jamie really proved herself and proved what she can do if given the chance. So it's gonna be an interesting one to see like where Jamie goes from here, and I very much had like sort of similar sort of hopes for Jamie maybe being the one to ultimately be able to pick up that pin on Mercedes, put her on the front line for a potential world title run. But we'll see what's to come from this and what's to come next for Jamie Hayter. But I totally don't feel mad at either outcome because I think both women deserved to be in that final and they put on a great match.
Yeah, without doubt. So, Monty, you said 4.5. Gina, what would you score this out of 5?
Yeah, I'll give it 4.5.
And Jaxie?
I gave this 4.75.
4.75. I'm going to give it a 4.5. Predictions. Girls went for Hayter, boys went Monet. So Monty on 2, I'm on 1. The girls are on 0 as we head to our next match, FTR versus Nigel McGuinness and Daniel Garcia. The story of the match was that McGuinness was not on the level of his fellow competitors, but he was fighting for the honour of his broadcast partner Tony Schiavone and the future of AEW against the despicable Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. He was resilient, taking beating and fighting throughout, but the Shat Machine on the arena floor proved too much, leaving Garcia to fend off the former tag champs by himself. He tried, but ultimately passed out due to the pain of the sharp shooter. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm not surprised with the way the match went. If I'm truly honest, I kind of felt like this was going to be the way the match was going to go. It was obviously nice and feel good to have Nigel back, but with regards to the other three wrestlers that were in the ring with him, obviously they're more on a higher level in terms of skill set and just fitness in for wrestling matches. So I always had a feeling that it would be like Nigel to take the L here. And I think it was the right decision, not just for him to take the L, but for FTR to get the win, because not that I've enjoyed their heel turn, and I think that they've needed this heel turn, but it's kind of not really been as hype maybe as what I thought it would be. And again, I think from what Monty said earlier, where FTR's heel turn, they turned on Tony Schiavone. The thing is, they all know that Tony Schiavone is a crowd favorite, a fan favorite. So if they need to generate heat, just be rude to Tony, and you're already getting those boos, you know. So it really helped with the FTR getting more of that heat from the crowds, and then drawing this feud into fruition. But yeah, again, I think if FTR would have lost to Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness here, it would have made their heel turn seem a bit bland, I guess. So I think it was the right decision for them to get this win. And like I said, I had a feeling it was going to be Nigel to take that L for them. So it was a good match. I enjoyed seeing it. I'm enjoying seeing a heel FTR because they have been such family favorites and fan favorites for so long. So to watch them fight more as a heel team is very interesting to watch, and I do enjoy them. But yeah, it also I just felt sorry for Daniel Garcia really because I kind of felt like he went into this as kind of a one-man team or a one and a half man team maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was still good though. I enjoyed it, and I think after the first couple of matches, this was a good placement to have this match. I don't think this match needed to be any later on the match card. So yeah, I think I'll give it a 4.25.
Give it 4.25. Yeah, like I said, the thing is that Tony Schiavone's no Michael Cole, though, is he? When Michael Cole showed no fear getting in there with Gunther, and Tony couldn't be bothered with FTR, I'd get in there with FTR. But Jaxie, as Gina mentioned, the heel turn. If this was WWE, FTR would have like a kind of new heel entrance song. It's still weird to hear them come out with that kind of catchy tune. Great to see Nigel, but it kind of this match went longer than I think should have been. Would that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there were some valid points that both you and Gina has brought up. It was again, I feel like it was nice to see Nigel back in action, and like the fact that they do it every so often is just kind of nice to see. But the outcome was kind of pretty obvious in terms of like, what they're trying to tell with this story, in my opinion anyway. I felt like it could have been more like a dominating type of match for FTR to kind of really solidify this heel turn and just show how cruel they've become, especially against someone like Nigel McGuinness, really shows sort of a bullying aspect and then just sort of end it quickly. It did go on a bit long, but I think it was placed perfectly on the card.
Yeah. What would you score it?
I'll give it a 3.25.
And a quarter. Monty, again, not really much to add there, but I don't know what your thoughts on this. Wasn't the classic, was it? But
Yeah, it was a good story. I think it was a good story. I think the funniest thing, the only thing I really can say that really haven't been talked about here, because like even Nigel obviously not really being in the shape for a longer match like this. I think that was all that was by design of the finish in my regard. But uh, I don't know. I could watching this and actually sitting back and getting a chance to enjoy Daniel Garcia again. It was kind of just made me just look back at the TNT title run they gave him and just be like, where was this type of content at? Where he just go out there and wrestle and do what he do best, tell a good story through wrestling. Like that's what Garcia is. So I don't understand why somebody can be a singles champion for you and then seemingly get booked or protected more when is not the champion now. Almost. That's the funniest part about this match to me. But again, overall I thought it was good. I gave it like 3 and 3/4. Really good stuff. Nothing like you said, nothing's, legendary, but I thought the story was really well executed and it was a good match.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 because I put a question mark at the end of it, so I'll give it a 4, I suppose. Predictions all FTR. So Monty's on 3, I'm on 2, the girls are on 1. Stretcher match up next: Ricochet versus Mark Briscoe. Ricochet went for the shooting star press onto Briscoe onto a stretcher, but missed and crashed into the gurney. They found different uses for cleaning solution, including shining up Ricochet's head and blinding the babyface, which I actually really, really enjoyed. Briscoe sported a proverbial crimson mask. The one and only produced a second pair of scissors, delivered a well-timed low blow, and was able to lock Briscoe into the ambulance to secure the victory. Jackson, what are your thoughts on this? Because again, it did feel like we had a lot of build, but they actually gave a really good performance, I feel.
Yeah. Again, like you said, I didn't expect this to go as hard as it did, but like, at one point just Mark got split open and that was it. Just like it just turned into like a bloody mess. So it did go hard. It went the way I expected it to, but I shouldn't be surprised at like to the level of or the caliber of wrestling or what Mark Briscoe will put his body on the line for. Overall, I thought that both men came out of this looking great. And I'm really pleased with kind of like how they've been booking Ricochet. I think really like he needs to continue this momentum, and this win only solidifies that. So for me, this match was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'll give this a 4.
Give it a 4. And yeah, like we said, Monty, we talked about Ricochet in the past, and he seems to be enjoying himself, and he's doing some great work as a heel at this moment in time, and it just shows.
Yeah, man. I remember you weren't so sure about it at first, but uh, again, like I said, he's. I think mostly, and I think a lot of people listen to his tweets and some of the things he said about like his time in WWE, and a lot of the WWE stands who can't understand people not liking where they work, which is just very normal, by the way. They don't, they got mad. They took a lot of this stuff personal, but you really can see a lot of probably where his frustration came from. I mean, Ricochet was never allowed to show this much emotion, this much character, remotely even close to this in his time in WWE. So I know he's having the time of his life, and we talked about it in the past, like uh, wrestling from a lot of the greatest heels or people who changes in persona. A lot of that comes from having freedom, creative freedom to do what you just feel natural doing, and that's what I think a lot of this seemed to be for Ricochet. And like you said, you can just tell he's having so much fun, and he's doing a good job of blending this character in with a lot of the flashy, cool stuff we know Ricochet for. Which, in my opinion, again, is another situation where it's like, see, it's more than one way that you can book somebody who wrestles like a Ricochet. So I honestly think that he's having time in his life and it's being reflected in his work. And AEW should just keep it up. By the end of the year, man, I don't know. I mean, so many championships in WWE, not WWE, but so many championships in AEW, so many championships in general right now. But I definitely can see him on towards the top of the card, whether that means world champion or whatever, sooner than later with this type of work that he's been doing. But yeah, this ended up being really good. Like you said, way better than you would expect going into it. I gave it 4 and a quarter. Excellent stuff, man. Can't really say
Yeah.
enough about it.
No, that what we talk about. And again, Ricochet using all that frustration and all that kind of. We've seen it before with heels He dating back to Stone Cold Steve Austin back in the day. He used that frustration to actually make the character work. But I think the only issue is with this
Right.
one, Gina. Um, is there's no stakes. There's nothing on the line here. Not even like a kind of a title shot. Even though, like I said, that's what kind of AEW focus on, of an opportunity for a championship. But still, I thought it's really good. And if Ricochet can get his crew or group behind him, that help him even more.
Yeah, I totally agree. For me, this match was like the underdog that came out of it for me because again, when I saw it turn up on the match card, I was like, okay, so this is just a random match put together so that they can create more chaos for the chaos AEW loves to bring to their pay-per-view events, you know? So it was just a match that was just there. So I didn't really like go into this match thinking that it was going to come out being one of my favorite matches from the match card, you know. Again, it was just so good, and I think Ricochet's character work has come along a long way from where he came from WWE. Like you said, he wasn't really able to show as much emotion, and being able to see him just utilize the freedom he's got to be who he wants to be, it just builds that character even more. I love the silliness that he brings to his matches, even though he's being a heel, you know, even when he tagged with the Young Bucks and kept using their hair to show off that he had some hair, like shit like that's funny, you know, because he's a heel, you want to hate him, but it's funny as hell. So yeah, I think it's working for him, and I agree with Monty. I could see Ricochet bringing this character to eventually, you know, take the world title belt and just I want to say run amok amongst AEW whilst he's the champion, you know, and just be that annoying heel that you laugh at but laugh with as well. Yeah, it was great. So I enjoy it. I look forward to seeing more and what's the next kind of storyline Ricochet is going to be involved in. I gave it a 4.25 as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.25. Completely agree with you there. Predictions? We all went Ricochet. So Monty on 4. I'm on 3. The girls on 2. AEW World Tag Team Title match up next. Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara versus the Hurt Syndicate. The Hills benefit from interference from their newest member, MJF, who raked the eyes of Rhodes and set him up to be speared through the guardrail, thus eliminating him from the equation, allowing Benjamin to wipe out the Spanish God with his super kick for the win. Monty, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? Again, I want to get your thoughts on the match, but look at what MJF's involvement and also Sammy Guevara, because we talk about being 6 years and Sammy being involved here. It's just crazy to think where people have been, actually.
The funniest thing about that, I'm glad you say that because first thing I was gonna say is nice to see you again, Sammy. And you like he pop up every few months to lose a match or two, and then he's gone again. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a perfect microcosm of what I've been saying the last few AEW podcasts about where we are currently in the tag division. The Sons of Texas, they are who they are. I know what they did. I know they have the achievement of Ring of Honor tag champs and all of that, but it's like, how much stock do any of us really put into that since we don't really watch week to week? It's tough to really put that much stock into it to where you be like, oh, they might take the belts off the Hurt Syndicate. So, that was always my biggest thing. I thought they ended up doing decent enough match. But I don't think neither one of us thought they were actually a threat to Bob and Shelton, and that's the problem right now. We have a dominant unit on top of the tag division, and nobody, in my opinion, maybe some people I'm overlooking, but nobody really, in my opinion, in the tag division, seem to even be remotely a threat. And the fact that MJF I mean, I get it from angle purposes why MJF had to kind of show his face here and to kind of get him on the card, but did you really need MJF for the Sons of Texas?
Yeah, it's
Like
true,
that's where
though,
we
isn't it?
are right now. Like we really are just that. It's just not the deepest division at all right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. I would agree with you there. And again, it's funny. This is how bad it's got as well, Gina. When you think about it, the Ring of Honor tag team champions go, oh, for their titles. They're like, no, we don't want the fucking titles. They're meaningless. We'll just keep ours. You know what I mean? It's not even like a kind of winner take all type of situation.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I don't think like Bobby and Shelton would have cared if it was a winner's take all, they only would have cared about their own belts for being the AEW tag champs, you know. Um, don't get me wrong. Yes, okay, nice to see you, Dustin. Nice to see you, Sammy. But just like Monty said, I just did not go into this with any heart that those two were gonna be able to beat them, you know, beat the Hurt Business. I also agree. I don't think they needed MJF to like get himself involved in any way, shape, or form because they're just so dominant. Right now, I couldn't even tell you who could take on Shelton and Bobby at this point because they are so dominant, and the other tag teams that are in there right now, you know, I really don't see who it is who's going to be able to do it. Even like Young Bucks at this point, like any they they haven't built people up enough for me to actually seriously take them to be like, oh, actually, yeah, maybe Shelton will lose the belts or Bobby will lose the belts to this group, you know?
Mm.
So yeah, for me, it was more of a let's just get two different sets of tag champs on the match card. So that's how
Yeah.
I see it. I saw it and took it. I wasn't mad at the foolishness happening in the match because I didn't take the match serious enough to know that Bobby and Shelton were going to lose the belts. So yeah, it was still a good match for me. I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4.
You can give it a fall there. Yeah, like we talk about, it's weird, isn't it, Jaxie? Because we talk about tag division. The biggest threat to the Hurt Business now losing those titles is probably MJF. You know, until we see what happens with it.
Oh, definitely. I think that this is a classic case of, you guys all really like explained it well. It's a classic case of like no direction for the tag division right now. You know, you've got great champions, but you've really got legitimately no team to really like give them a fierce competition. So the only competition I can see right now is MJF, and in what capacity we still have yet to see. Yeah, I gave this a 4 as well overall.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Bobby's happy, I suppose. Monty, what would you score it?
3.5.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.5 as well. Predictions: we went Hurt Business. So I am Monty's on 5. I wish I was on 5. Monty's on 5. I'm on 4. Gail's on 3. The Continental Championship match was next. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Kazuchika Okada. Rainmaker found himself in a defensive, unable to answer the challenges. Kick-based offense. He absorbed everything thrown at him. His chest painted with welts from his opponent. Late in the match, Bailey took too long setting up the finish and paid for it as Okada caught him mid-flight with a drop kick and finished him off with the Rainmaker to retain. Gina, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you know, again, I went into this match not really thinking that Mike was going to be able to beat Okada here, especially because I don't know about outside of AEW, but as far as I'm aware, this is the first time I'm seeing these two in a 1v1 capacity. So yeah, it was interesting to go into this match and just be like, maybe it's going to be a bit of a squash match and Okada's going to come out looking, you know, really like heavy hitting. But do you know what? This match really surprised me because Speedball was hitting Okada with some real good moves and combos, and it kind of looked like it was, you know, throwing Okada off because he underestimated him. So in my eyes, I kept saying, "Oh, fair play, Speedball, go on," you know, like found myself egging him on more than what I anticipated myself to. Um, so yeah, I thought it was a great match. I enjoyed it. I think Speedball got his time to shine and Okada helped make him look really good. But I also think Okada shut that shit down when he was ready to shut that shit down. And
Yeah.
get retain his belt. And I kind of had a feeling that was going to be the outcome. I wasn't mad at it though, and again, it did happen to be a match that I didn't really think to take seriously going into the show, but coming out of it, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, without doubt. And Bailey is such a joy to watch as well. I enjoyed him at TNA. Like I said, in AEW, he's picked up right where he left off. And we've mentioned it as well, Monty has. But Jaxie, I'll ask you about this because Okada, you know, maybe, you know, 50% or whatever it is, he had to bring it more in this because Bailey didn't really give him a choice in this match, which I loved.
Yeah, exactly. I think my sister touched on that briefly as well, where both myself and probably a lot of the fans and Okada all probably went into this match underestimating what Speedball was going to deliver, you know, and he went hard. He gave it his all. I have to admit, exactly like my sister, I very much was like, okay, hold up. Speedball is actually making Okada work, and it was good to see like Okada like really had to think methodically about how to actually like slow this guy down. He was just constantly getting back up. So fair play to Speedball. This match surprised me. I didn't expect to enjoy what the two wrestlers put on as much as I did. So I think he used his time wisely.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Monty, again, you know, we talk about Carlo, we talk about Bailey. We kind of knew this was going to be a good match, and they delivered.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not trying to say it went exactly how I expected it to go, but Mike Bailey. I think listening to Gina explain how she looked at the match, it just kind of perfectly encapsulates what I think this match was all about. Because I think coming into it, we all favored Okada because, of course, he's Okada. So it's not really about that. And I think that's the main difference between this match and the tag match. It's not just about. I'm not shitting on the Sons of Texas because we don't have faith in them. Just because of they're going against insurmountable odds. But it's also we know that the future with them as leading the tag division is not likely. Like you said, unless MJF was to screw the syndicate over or make a mistake or whatever. But in this case, Mike Bailey's Speedball stock has improved. And I think everybody had to sit back and watch. If you weren't familiar, you became familiar with just how good he is. And I think that ended up being the biggest plus. And then, like you mentioned, because Speedball really only knows one speed, he forces an Okada to be physical back with him. He forces an Okada to have to kind of bring his A game, and I think you got a chance to see a little bit more of that A game as Okada as seems to be fully settled in. And Mike Bailey fights the perfect style against. That's just the perfect style. Something that Okada is familiar with. Also, that's another thing that helped this match. So, I just think not only did I'm just like you, James, I kind of expected it to be great, but you just come out of it and you're like, you know what, that's good. And like listening to Gina explain for somebody who's not as familiar with Mike to see how he improved his stock with your girl, that means the match accomplished his goal times 10, in my opinion. So yeah, I give it four and a quarter, man. It was really, really good stuff. You can't get much better than that as they when they really got into it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
really liked it, and I'm happy for Bailey, and we'll see what happens as Okada gets in as we go forward, and we know what's coming up for him. So I'm expecting to get more A+ Okada.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Gina, what would you score this out of 5?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.25.
And Jaxie?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5 predictions. We all went Okada. So Monty's on 6, I'm on 5, and the girls were on 4. The AEW Women's World Championship match was next. Timeless Tony Storm versus Mina Shirakawa. Timeless Tony Storm overcame a bum knee and a concentrated attack by challenging Mina to successfully defend the AEW Women's Championship and set up the marquee matchup with TBS champion Mercedes Monet. I guess friends kissed, has said as Storm and Shirakawa. Locked lips following the grueling matchup. But Jaxie, aside from the ending there, which I really liked, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly as you said. This match was fun. Um, Everyone loves Mina. The crowd was going wild for her. You could just see that they were kind of just cheering both. Mina had some great standout moments where she was even able to kick out some moves that I kind of presumed that would have been it. Like Tony delivered on, and she got the 1, 2, 3. So she kicked out of a few certain spots that was quite shocking moments. But I think overall the match performed well, and I think that either outcome it wouldn't have mattered, but it made much more sense for Tony to like become the overall winner here. She still has much more favor with the fans, and she is a favorite. She's doing her best work right now.
Yeah.
Overall, I actually gave this a 4.5. I enjoyed it and thought it was really entertaining.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good. And I think the sad bit here, and Monty, I don't know about you, but if Mariah May was ever returning to AEW, she would have done it right here. I was almost expecting her music to hit, but alas, it didn't happen.
Yeah, and from what I'm hearing, you might want to give up on that one.
We'll be talking
But
about
we'll
her on the
see.
next NXT update.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, man. I thought this was cool. I didn't have a problem with it. I know some people can't stand tone. It's kind of crazy how much praise, but at the same time, I still see a lot of people don't really like timeless Tony Storm's work. So it's kind of funny. Somebody explained that they thought this match felt like two friends just wrestling in front of people, and I'm like, I mean, isn't that the story? Isn't that pretty much like, aren't they two friends just wrestling for a championship? Like, I get it. Maybe he wanted more heat. Maybe he wanted more drama. But I do think that where they kind of placed this match may have hurt it because we talked about just watching Okada and Bailey and then Ricochet earlier. Like, we had so much, and then they come out with kind of more of a chain wrestling and more of a technical style match. Maybe switching it up like that in the middle of the card, and then what's coming right after it, maybe that kind of mixed people up. But I still thought this
Mm,
was a good contest. Great 15-minute match. Mina gave great fight. Showed that spirit that she has, and I am wondering. You mentioned Mariah. It's like now I'm wondering like because I feel, and I'm not trying to say Mina was a bargaining chip for Mariah, but you know how these things go, John. You feel like if you can sign
mm.
somebody's friend, you know what I mean? Maybe you can get
Yep.
them too. So uh get them back also. And I'm not trying to say that I know Mina brings value also to the show. But it will be interesting to see what is the arc for Mina Shirakawa in AEW. And could what was that affected at all by what however this Mariah May stuff play out. But either way it go, I thought this was a really good contest. And despite Mercedes winning to me, I mean, to be honest, I don't think nobody really thought Tony was gonna lose. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing that probably hurt it for people too. But yeah, I think 4 stars is pretty fair. They wrestled really well.
Yeah, and this is the thing, isn't it? It's difficult, especially we know with Mariah May's past. But as for these two competitors here, I thought it was good stuff. And Gina, we kind of talked about it a lot. But one thing we haven't mentioned it with Tony Storm as well. I mean, win or lose, whatever happens at All In, she is not only the greatest, women's wrestler in AEW history, but up there, top three of just wrestlers in AEW with just consistency and performance and what she has done.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you know where her character has come from, especially like when you think about the persona she was kind of playing when she first came into this, when she was in the faction with Soraya and Ruby Soho, sorry. I had to remember which one it was for AEW. Where you think she's gone off and then come back and then had this persona that we all thought she's just lost it, but she's made the character just become who it has, and it's so good. That in itself, just knowing how the journey of it even adds to just the character and the love for it. So yeah, definitely Tony is just at her peak right now, and she just needs to keep going with it, because regardless as to whether she's the champion or not, she she's just she's just up there. No one's gonna look down on her whether she has the belt or not, in my eyes.
Mm. What would you score out of 5?
No, I gave it a 4.5.
4.5. I'm going to give it a 4.25. Predictions, we all went Tony. So it means Monty's on 7, I'm on 6, and the girls are on 5. Up next, Anarchy in the Arena. Claudio delivered his trademark swing to Strickland, sent him to the speaker, which mercifully ended the marathon of Drowning Pool. I know some of you like that, but come on, man, it was on the loop. And for the first time in what felt like an eternity, the Bayface and AW got the best of the Death Riders as Swerve Strickland, Kenny Omega, Willow Nightingale, Smojo, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Shibata defeated John Moxley, Yuta Wheeler, Claudio Castagnoli, Marini Shafir, and the Young Bucks. Plunderfield Brawl that featured staples, thumbtacks, an ambulance, tables, chairs, cameos for the turning hook, and a bloodied Mark Briscoe. You kind of knew they took too far when the exploding table spot wasn't the finish, but we finally got there in the end. I mean, Monty, this is just madness. Obviously, I can't recap it. Probably just worthwhile watching it. What were your thoughts on this?
I think this is probably the best. I think they finally got the formula right. I think this might be the best one. I think every year we kind of come back from these anarchy matches, and all of us have had, oh, I was lost, or whatever, whatever. What the hell was this? Blah 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 blah, or something didn't go right. This is the one, in my opinion, that if you want to explain to everybody what the hell this stipulation is all about, this one was so fun. It was also a lot of action. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you couldn't get lost here, but I do believe that the energy, the crowd, the just the way everybody, how much fun it just seemed like was involved. And then, like I said, some of this is having a Willow involved along with the Marina, so it isn't just a whole bunch of men doing this in these multi person type deals with anything goes, and it was brutal. It still had the for they had a little bit of the sick stuff, but it also had a lot of fun mixed in there too, and it wasn't so confusing to where you by the end of the match you just wanted it to end. It went long, and I don't know if these matches cannot go long, but this was one of the best Anarchy in the Arena matches that they've done, if not the best. I don't know. I don't really have any main complaints, even though I end up picking wrong. I think here, uh, but that was mostly because if you guys don't remember, I'm biased towards John Moxley.
Yes, you
So
are.
uh, that's really it. Because I kind of figured, I was like, you know what, the babyface deserved it. I was like, nah, screw him. Let Moxley look strong going into All In where he's probably gonna lose. That was me, but uh, this was good. This was great. I honestly don't know. I don't have any major negatives to pull from it other than it was a really good time. The music thrown in the middle of it gives it an air of you will only see this in AEW. And I think that's to me, the more AEW makes themselves an actual alternative and actually just go out there and have fun and they don't press or do too much. And you can make an argument some of this was too much, but still, I thought this was all really good, and I felt like it was still a lot of fun. And I
Yeah.
haven't came away from these anarchy matches that way really consistently. So this was great to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I did like the music changes. I would like the next one as well. You just grab someone's head and hit it against the speaker, and it changes the track each time. So you can maybe get like 5 or 6. I know Tony's spending a lot of
Right.
money, but I would really like that. But again, Gina, Monty said it as well. Credit to Willow. But who would have thought Marina Shafir would be the only one of the kind of four horsewomen of MMA to have an impact in professional wrestling in 2025? And credit to her, she's working her way well with Moxley, and as Monty said as well, you either love or hate this type of matchup.
Yeah, definitely. You either love or hate it. But for me, I did love it. I agree with Monty. I feel like this is probably one of the better Anarchy in the Arenas we've had. I liked every single participant that was involved in the match, and I also think it really did add a different depth to it with Marina and Willow involved. Who would have thought, especially when Marina was showcased in AEW from the beginning, like she wasn't even really showcased that big, in a way, not to be rude to her, but I think like was she like a lapdog for Nyla Rose, or did she have a feud with her or something? I don't know. Either way, knowing where she started in AEW to seeing her work with Mox and the Death Riders now, it is just working for her. It works for the type of character she has as well. Um, I can just see the roughness of the Death Riders being a perfect fit for her. So every time I see her, though, I do scream to myself, "Someone come slap this bitch!" So when Willow started to get involved, I was so happy because I also thought that Willow would have been a perfect person to just thump Marina down in her face. So yeah, I really enjoyed their dynamic being added to it. And to be honest, I think like more Anarchy in the Arena matches work for Marina. So
Yeah,
yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a great match, and to be honest, I am a little disappointed with the outcome. Not because I didn't want the face team to win, but I genuinely thought that Gabe Kidd would have had more of an impact just because
yeah,
he showed up at the last event to help the Death Riders. And then we hadn't really seen much of him since. So I figured he's gonna get himself involved here because it's not a DQ, situation that can happen here anyway, and he's going to screw them over, and the Death Riders will continue to get that win. So I am a little disappointed that his involvement was for nothing, and I am a little bit confused with Hook in a way, like, so he kind of returned and kind of helped them, but also was mad at them. So
Yeah.
I think he's trying to maybe show that he's a bit bitter that they won the belts with Will Hobbs rather than Hook. But bro, you're injured. What do you want us to do? Oh, don't worry. We're not gonna bother go for the belts. Like, nah, bro, we're gonna A, get revenge for you, and B, if there's still a chance that we can get those belts, we're gonna do it. You would do the same, you know? It was
Yeah.
crazy to me. So that part did confuse me. But all in all, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good and gave it a 4.5.
Give it 4.5. Jackson, like I said, a lot of kind of been mentioned here. One of the reasons my predictions that I went for the good guys is because this is the progression of the Death Rider story, and I've hated it. And
Mhm.
like Monty has said, he's always got mocks, but for me, it's the case of they were like the trios champion that kind of gets broken up, and then as a group, they kind of get dismantled in this way, leading to all in
Mhm.
when it's finally kind of Moxley and whoever it will
Yeah.
be. Funny the end of Death Riders, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're kind of like getting to that stage within like the storyline and what they're putting across. I feel like this is like kind of dragged a bit too long, but I think with what we've got to discuss coming up in other matches, I see a potential end,
Yeah.
or like maybe it's me still like potentially hoping that this will be the beginning of the end of the Death Riders. I think, as you said, like they slowly are dwindling in terms of losing the trios titles and stuff, but it's been a bit exhausting, constantly having them pick up that win. So it's a bit of a feel good moment to see the faces sort of like pick that up. And obviously, kind of going further into the night, we'll discuss maybe potential outcomes for where things will go with the Death Riders. There were just such a few moments that it was really hard to watch, though. I agree with everyone's statements, but it was still just fucking gross. You had fucking Willow like attached by a padlock to her fucking ear, and like the cameraman decided and proceeded to, instead of getting a key and helping unlock her, just zoom in on the ear constantly. It was just like that, those type of things that I find really gross to like kind of watch. So that section was tough.
You ain't
But
sick
then
enough.
yeah, but just even with the staple gun, I'm not even going to go there. Was there any need for the tongue? I don't know. That to me was just very gross, and we didn't need to go that far. That gave me like really like sort of way back early AEW days of that wrestler whose name I've now forgotten, who just used to love using the staple gun. Um, so yeah, I didn't know if we needed to take it that far, but it did what it needed to do, overall I still enjoyed this. It was a chaotic mess. You might as well watch it, because I don't know if we can actually really describe everything that went on. And again, it is another match that I need to go back and rewatch, because I definitely feel like I still missed bits. But yeah, overall I'll give this a 4.5.
And Monty, what would you score it?
Uh, 4 3/4. It's probably as close as to. I think this is the definition of what I think this match is meant to be for them. I don't know if they ever really do it this well again. Maybe they will, but I don't want to say perfect, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4.5 predictions. We went Death Riders apart from me. So that means Monty and I are level on 7, the girls on 5, and we've got the main event. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's Paragon versus the Don Callis family. I mean, all right. They continue to roll thanks to performances of the pro Carl Fletcher, Josh Alexander, and Takeshita. They bested Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong in a trios match that featured exceptionally perfectly acceptable wrestling, even an undeniable task of following the chaos in Anarchy in Arena. Crowd got into it late just to see Takeshita break up a guillotine by Riley, and Fletcher finish him off with a teardrop brain buster. Gina, we know what I'm going to say. Why was this here? I feel so sorry for Adam Cole as well.
Yeah, to be honest, straight after that Anarchy match, I don't know what match would have been better to put here, really, because Anarchy matches are such chaos that the
Mm.
crowd are still hyped from that. So it kind of, whatever match you follow up with is kind of, in a way, going to be bringing the crowd on a come down, because it's not going to be the same regardless as to what type of match it is. So I did feel sorry for Adam Cole here because I am happy for him that he's finally got his first belt within AEW. But I just don't think that people have really cared too much about it at this point. Just because they've probably had other storylines that have showcased a lot more than Adam Cole's. But yeah, I don't know whether they were trying to build up more hype for Adam Cole's match by having him on commentary that previous collision. But yeah, it was just the placement of this match just didn't really help build up the hype for it. I think it was a good match for sure, but and it was really, again, it's always nice to see, the undisputed kingdom or paragon, whatever you want to call them now. It's nice to always see them back together, but for me, I did struggle to pay a lot of attention to this match because of the previous match that we had just come from was just so chaotic. I was still kind of reeling from it all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a match that I would say would become forgettable. I mean, I still would remembered, Speedball Mike Bailey's match with Okada more than I did Adam Cole's match, and that's not because I didn't enjoy that six-man tag, but it's more a case of I forgot about it because it came directly after that Anarchy match, and it's hard to, like, keep that in mind over that. So yeah, I feel for them. It was a good match between them all, but my attention span wasn't entirely there, so I will give it a 3 and 3/4.
Yeah, I think it's not really much to say. I mean, Jaxie, what would you score this? And like I said, it was a perfect toilet break, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, again, I think you guys kind of like described it right. I really, exactly going back to the first thing you said about this match, James, I really don't understand why this match was even put in here. This is easily like an AEW Dynamite match or even a main event on Collision type of match. I feel like they wanted to place this match within Double or Nothing to, continue the momentum or like give, Adam Cole, views being the TNT champion. But overall, I don't really feel like this added anything to his character, his current run as champion, or anything to do with his faction with the Paragon. I don't know. This just didn't click for me. And like my sister said, I don't think my attention was fully there. And that's not to say that the match wasn't good, but I found that I didn't really care so much for whatever the outcome was going to be of this match.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give it a 3 and 1/4.
Yeah, 3 1/4's fine. And Monty, you said earlier, Tony Khan, whoever, the TNT title used to mean something. I don't know who was champion who really pissed off Tony Khan, but he fucking hates that TNT title now.
Bro, I don't know if it was Miro. I don't
Yeah, yeah,
know.
no, yeah,
I
no.
don't know if every time he look at it, he still think of Cody. I don't know what it is, but he don't like that belt anymore, man. And it's sad because the funny thing is, if Adam Cole's luck in his run in AEW in general just wasn't so bad in general, because really he just kind of had tough luck in general in AEW. I would accuse this championship belt of being cursed. Like that's where we are right now. Like that's how bad it is because you immediately because you get the belt and somehow you become irrelevant and
Hmm.
like your storylines don't matter and whatever like so we all know Adam deserves better and I don't know. I just the funniest thing too. My last thing I'll say about this entire whole segment is this 6-man match would have been a banger like Dynamite main event. It like it really didn't need to be here, but like it was here, so they were wrestling well. But it don't really matter because we know you're just getting us ready for the main event, and Sometimes I think sometimes Tony needs to just go ahead and go full Wrestle Kingdom. Go full New Japan and just give us the 2 30-minute, two
Yeah.
30 minute, drawn out battles back to back. We don't always need the piss break, come down thing, but maybe that's exactly what they were looking for here. But again, no shade to anybody who actually wrestled here, but yeah, man, I don't know what it is, James. I don't know. That belt might end up just getting retired out of nowhere one
Yeah.
day because I don't. It's just not important. Like it literally used to be their second tier title, like IC championship type belt, and I don't know. Maybe it was Wardlow. I'm up here blaming other people. Maybe it's
Yeah, it might be
Wardlow.
Wardlow. Yeah, Wardlow. Yeah, that's a good shout.
I don't
Yeah,
know
we got to
who
blame
he's
someone.
mad at that made him look at that belt differently, but yeah, he do not like respecting the TNT champion, and it's a concerning trend. It's a concerning trend.
And another thing I was going to say as well, I was going to say it for overall later, but I think you've made a point now, especially with this matchup and with Tony Khan. He doesn't kind of load up the dynamites and collisions before a pay per view, and I feel if this match, like you said, was on a collision along with like the tag title match, you could really
Yeah,
build up a big show before the pay per view and then let the pay per view breathe a little bit. You could have Tony Schiavone come out and do the presentation for the women or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Before the main event, or just come up with an idea. But Tony does what Tony wants, so fuck him. What would you score it, Monty, out of 5?
3 3/4.
3 3/4. I go with 3 3/4 as well. Predictions, we all went Don's men. So Monty and James are on 8. And the girls are on 6 as we head to the main event, the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament final. Hangman Adam Page versus Will Ospreay. The first time ever meeting. And even the entrances were special. You felt something was in the air. And Adam Page had the pink and black trim, like Monet did earlier, obviously in tribute to the namesake. And as we got to the match, and what happened was pro wrestling excellence, basically. Page and Ospreay tore the house down, delivered a match of the year candidate, and keeping fans genuinely intrigued that possibly that either man could win at any time. They traded signature moves, leveled each other with finishes, and even borrowed from their most hated enemies. With both men exhausted, Page tried for the buckshot lariat, but Ospreay countered and tried for the Stormbreaker. Page escaped, rocked the aerial stuff with a clothesline, headed outside, and finally delivered a jarring buckshot lariat for the pinfall victory. And a post-match show of respect highlighted the growth that Adam Page's character has made, and he has done it. Jaxie, what an end! I know it's not the end of Adam Page's story, but what can you say? I mean, it was just excellent. You know what I mean? Everything about this was great.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really know how to describe this match. First of all, 5 star, end of. That should tell you enough as to, like, if you're gonna watch any match on this match card, watch that, because exactly you described it perfectly, James. It was wrestling excellence. This was just two men really passionate about wrestling and it coming through with what they produced in the ring. Absolutely incredible. Both had highlight moments, both had really scary looking moments as well, and both had so many great near falls. There was just too much to kind of discuss about this match with it, but we won't do it justice. Just go watch it. 5 star from me.
Yeah, no, it was just, and again, Monty, I know you've seen Will Ospreay do this, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise. But what I really liked about it, it was the story. It was the even Page working on Ospreay's back and everything going on to it. It wasn't just a spot fest. You know what I mean? With no selling and all this kind of stuff. It was a kind of amalgamation of everything that we love.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I think that's kind of like the biggest difference when Osprey's, especially when the narrative is there and Osprey's in a big time match. I think the biggest difference to a lot of his earlier content, so to speak, or earlier matches would be that ability to blend in narrative along with the athleticism, and I think he's found that balance over the years uh, greatly. And I think he still gets criticized because he's not always perfect at it, but at the same time, I think with a guy like Adam Page, you almost have to wrestle that way because Adam has become just such a walking narrative. He's again, I've been saying this for months. He's the most interesting, by far the most interesting, and he's also developed almost the most probably in AEW in general. He is the main character of AEW. I'm not sure if that was always the goal when they started AEW, and like you said, we do talk about the pillars and all of that, and everybody that we you would think would be the future. But it's in my opinion, there's nobody no by far there's nobody more compelling, and there's nobody who's the perfect in my opinion the perfect amalgamation of what AEW in my opinion needs to be. And what I'm trying to say is that yes, he's gonna bring it in the ring. He can do the sick shit like when it comes to death matches, and he can tell a story, whether it's with his face, whether it's with his promos, whether it's in the ring. Here, like you mentioned here, with him and Osprey telling a great, just professional wrestling story, along with weaving in story beats from the swerve angle and weaving in the Omega Osprey, angle. So again, this was just really well put together. I don't want to, just I don't really have a lot of details to add. Like you mentioned, like it's 5 stars for me also. And I'm happy. I'm overall really just happy that the decision was made, in my opinion. Mostly when it comes to trusting Adam with this spot, because I get it. It was a tough one, really tough decision all the way through when it comes to it. But it's just like, to me, as great as Osprey is, and he's going to be the captain of the ship, in my opinion. I don't think that really needs to be discussed. But in my opinion, like I said earlier, Hangman has put in the work in every way possible, and I just don't see how you can't crown him in this moment with his character development and the work, the wrestling, the work he's been able to put in consistently. So I was, just very very happy with this overall, because I'm biased towards Moxley, but I don't think anybody is more important to AEW than Hangman.
No, it's a lot of important points you made there. Like to talk about the Christopher Daniels shout out as well. There was a scary moment the table collapsed, but apart from that, I can't think of a match in AEW where either I didn't know who would win, and I was actually more confident Will, because Will even said he wants to be at Forbidden Door, in his near his hometown as world champion. I thought that was going to be it, but I mean, Gina, we talk about it a lot, but this might be the best match in AEW history, and if not, then Adam Page could conceivably have like the top two. Because I always compare like him and Kenny Omega, the match they had, and this was just every bit as good.
Yeah, definitely. It was such a great match. There's not much that I can add that will give this justice. There were so many spots that would just, highlight worthy. Even when Will Ospreay went to go and pull the one-winged angel, I had chills up my arms, on whether he was going to put it off or not. But yeah, again, this match is probably one of the hardest matches for me to call in AEW history. I think both of them had such a great build up to get to this spot that it felt really impossible to call. Usually, a lot of these matches, you do feel like you have a certain way that it's going to go. But this one, it was just a split 50-50 chance on who was going to win. In my eyes, anyway, because they both had great reasons to win. They had both had great reasons to go for that top spot. And they are both great men to try and, knock Mox, if he's going to remain champ, off of his throne, maybe. So for me, yeah, watching this match, I could not take my eyes off of it. I didn't know which way it was going to go. The amount of counters that they were doing with each other is actually surprising that they haven't been in the ring with each other before
Mm.
is actually shocking. So the fact that they can put on a match of this caliber for their first match against each other is just, again, 5-star worthy for me. So that is 5 stars for this match too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was just brilliant. I would encourage everyone to go watch this match if they haven't. Out of the whole thing on the match card, it was definitely a top one. So yeah, I look forward to seeing, Hangman come out on top, hopefully, coming off of the momentum from this. It's just been so hard to see him on this downward spiral, but it's also been such great storytelling to see him go down to come all the way back up to where he is now. So yeah,
Yeah.
5 stars.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And as Monty mentioned, Osprey will probably win next year as well, so don't worry about that. But and again, I don't want to put words in Gene or Jax's mouth, but I got the prediction wrong, but I still had a smile on my face when Adam Page won, and I think that shows you when professional wrestling is done right.
Oh hell yeah!
Five.
I knew I
Me too.
lost. I
Me
knew that I
too.
lost that one the minute Hangman came out in the black and pink. I knew I'd
Yeah,
lost.
same,
I knew it.
same.
But I'm actually not mad at it. I thought I'd be like more mad at losing the predictions, but I think like the better man won in this outcome and in this moment.
Yeah, we meant Adam Page, Monty. All right. So out of
Like
five,
she
like I
said, what
said,
she said.
we'll go five predictions. All went Osprey, apart from Monty. So final scores: Jaxie June on 6, I'm on 8, Monty on 9. Another AEW win. How? You don't even like the show, do you?
They growing on me. Also, they tickets way cheaper than WWE's right now. So I might have to trade in my WWE Shield shirt.
Yeah.
So who
Well, it
knows?
means
Me and Tony getting along. Me and Tony getting
no.
along.
It's
Yeah,
annoying.
we doing good.
It means the AW League Monty's on 3 now, Gina on 1, and Jaxie and I yet to score 3. I don't know what the fuck's happening here, but hopefully All In will sort it out. All right, so match of the night obviously was the main event for everybody. Monty, I'll start with you. Who's your MVP and what's your rating out of 10?
Man, that's tough. Uh, Really, it's hard for me to not give it to Hangman as the MVP. But I'm gonna go Mercedes too, though. I'm gonna just give it out to the two biggest winners, to be honest. And so, hmm, overall rating, right?
Yeah.
I give it a 9. It was some stuff that I didn't really need to see, but I think once it was at its best, it was probably one of the strongest shows of the year. Yeah, so I think I've been seeing people already trying to say it's better than WrestleMania, and in some ways I get it. So I don't know. It was a really good show though. I think AEW has really done a great job of just running that. It's kind of like a race, and I just think the better they do, so much better in my opinion, when they just kind of run their race and do their own thing, and be AEW, be the alternative that you claim to be. That's when they at their best. So, uh, yeah, man, I give it a 9. I thought this was a really strong show overall.
Yeah, I think you're right with AEW. Focus on what you do well, and we can see it's really good. There's still the same problems with the pay per view, but again,
Right.
you can't fault the action. Gina, who's your MVP and what's your rating?
Oh God, this is going to be difficult. My rating, I think I'm going to go with Monty and go with a 9 because it was a really good show. I enjoyed a lot of the matches, and there were a lot of matches that surprised me as being really good. And others that sadly I did forget about, but I think a 9 overall is good. I'm gonna randomly give my MVP to Speedball, because he really changed my mind about him as a wrestler. And again, because I've never seen him before he came on to this show, I didn't really know about him before he came on. I wasn't really bothered by his first match. I was intrigued by his second or third match. And after seeing him go against Okada, I definitely feel like, my thoughts on him have flipped a lot. So I'm going to give him my MVP.
Excellent. That's a really good choice. And Jaxie?
I'll go 8.5. And MVP Hangman Page.
So 8.5 from Page. I'm going to go for Willow and Marina Shafir as my MVPs, and I am going to give it a 9 out of 10. Like we said, it's just 4.5 hours with the 0 hour as well. That's just too much. You could switch it around and all this lot, but still, you can't fault the wrestlers and what they put on in this one. So good all round. All right, so just Dynamite to have a look at. Adam Page started the show. He thanked Will Ospreay. He says the world title means everything to him. Swerve Strickland interrupted to question if he was the reason Young Bucks cost him the AEW World Championship. Page would not take the blame. Ospreay arrived for things escalated. He tried to convince the mogul they needed to work together to help the cowboy, but Swerve walked out. I mean, Jackson, I mean, what world are we living in where Swerve is going to help the cowboy? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, what's Ospreay
yeah.
thinking here?
There was like a hot sec with, Osprey in the middle that I was like, oh my gosh, is he going to be the uniting factor, aka United Empire? Like, just even like bringing something like that. But that's all hopes. We all got to remember the vicious feud these two had. Ain't no way he's going to go ahead and be like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. Go on then, mate. Do you know what I mean? So we kind of had to expect this.
Fucking stupid. John Moxley gave Kid and Marina beat Mark Briscoe, Mike Bailey, and Willow Nightingale. We've got a no DQ match. Megan Bain and Penelope Ford beat Anna Jay and Harley Cameron. I swear to God, Gina, we were talking about this as well. I swear, if we make a prediction and get it wrong on a pay per view, only for the result to change on the next episode of Dynamite, surely that should be a point, because it does my fucking nutting.
Honestly, I was screaming at the TV. I was like, are you serious? So you give the win to Megan Bain and Penelope on Dynamite after? Like, how does this make sense? Because in a way, for me, because Penelope and Megan have been so dominant in this feud between them and Harley and Anna, I would have assumed that Harley and Anna finally getting the win would put an end to the feud. That's the ending. The face team got the win,
think.
and that's it. Megan and Penelope will move on to the next two sorry bastards that they're going to target and go against, or something like that. So for them to put them in another match with these two that we just saw on the pay-per-view, only to give them the win. Like, are you reopening the storyline and the feud? I don't get it. This is why I was annoyed about the outcome. It wasn't necessarily my annoyance because I got the prediction wrong, but it just didn't make sense on them doing it this way around, if that's what they were going to do on the next Dynamite. Again, for me, the feud would end with Harley and Anna getting the win. So it just really didn't make sense that they then lost again a few days after, making their win on the pay-per-view event feel a little bit irrelevant. So yeah, that's my annoyance about this.
Yeah, I would just say fuck Tony. Fuck him. But again, that's just me. Harley was written off due to injury. She suffered an injury at Double or Nothing. That's why she had a kind of bloody face
Shout out
on
to you, Tony.
Dynamite. Renee Paquette was ready to talk with Jamie Hayter, but the lights went out when they went back on. The Toxic Spider, I'm not even going to try and pronounce her name, arrived. We didn't see it, but we didn't actually see it on the replay either. But I mean, Monty, there's one way to debut someone, I suppose. I'm sure you've heard of. I'm going to try it. I'm not even going to try it. The Toxic Spider. Thekla.
Thekla. Yeah,
Thekla?
that's kind of how I see it.
Thekla.
She's awesome, man. Thekla used to be in Julia's old faction, back in Stardom. So they kind of used to walk around in their fatigues and beat up the girl. So Tekla's a bully. So her and Gabe Kidd kind of the same ilk, per se.
Right.
That's kind of the best way to kind of describe them. She's definitely the toxic spider. You see the whole pose. She got it down. She's great. She's awesome. So badass outside the ring too. I think my only thing is, again, even it's same thing I kind of said with Mina. Same thing we mentioned earlier when it comes to Megan. You just kind of want these talents from Stardom and talents from around the world. You just want them to see uh, how much are we just gonna get that usual first 5 6 weeks focus and then they go away, or is this gonna actually turn into something unique? And I think that's just what we kind of asking for in general as the women's division grows. I think we just need to make sure that we are investing more because you like we talked about earlier, you can do more than title feuds. It don't have to just be, and especially now that all the title belts are basically tied up between two people, and they're feuding with each other. So now I think it's the perfect time to start doing some actual storyline feuding with some of the other ladies, and hopefully the Toxic Spider will be a new addition into that. But she's pretty cool, man. I can't wait to see how she adapts to not necessarily AEW style, but how the people take to her, because I think she's very in a similar vein. Not her and Julie don't necessarily wrestle the same, but that coolness that we talk about, that aura, very similar in that respect, because they're both badasses.
Did she punch the president, or was that just a storyline thing? Because I know I heard Excalibur say that. I was going, really?
She really did it.
She really
She
did
really
it.
did it. Yeah, she really did.
Fair fucking play.
Now they keep it close to the vest of how much of that is angle and not, but yeah,
Wow.
hey, that's part of her resume.
I like it. TNT Championship match: Adam Cole versus Cole Fletcher. Where the fuck did this come from? This has actually been quite a good pay-per-view match. The scary point: Cole smashing the back of his head on the apron thanks to Fletcher and Jaxie. I don't know what you think, but the powerbomb on things just seems too
Yeah.
risky. Like aprons,
Oh my
buckles,
God.
doesn't work.
That
He's
that
cursed.
was just such a rushed move, and just I don't think it was thought out properly. It was a very scary moment. And I really hope that he wasn't concussed, because that was an easy concussion right there.
Yeah, that's horrible. Josh Alexander calls the DQ that led to him facing Brody King. King won and gets a fatal four-way match. Good for him. And in the main event segment, Mercedes Moné and Timeless Tony Storm met in the centre of the ring to share their first words. While the CEO was confident at first, the Timeless Blonde rattled her. She said to the CEO she waited 441 days for her debut to finally even talk to her. The CEO promised the greatest women's match of all time. Yeah, that can't disappoint us, can it? Storm hinted at a similar journey to Monet in leaving WWE to become a top woman AEW, and Storm called Monet the greatest of all time, but reminded her she is timeless. They shook hands and then danced to end the show. Only Tiny Storm, I guess, could do this. Gina, what were your thoughts? Because again, we have got like 6 weeks, to fill before All In with Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné, but I think this was a good start.
Yeah, definitely. When she said, I think she said 41 days or something, I was like, oh shit, that's quite a while. Um,
Yeah.
but then I was like, wait, but it's between Mercedes and Tony. And no offense, but if anyone can keep people interested within his storyline for 41 days, it's going to be these two. You know, they're both excellent on the mic. They're both excellent in having just their personas, you know, being flamboyant and out there, that people are not going to forget about this match to come in a few weeks. I definitely think that they is a great start to start that feud between them both. I just I don't want to see those two constantly going for each other the next few weeks, because that might be overdoing it, but it would be nice to see, you know, a promo here or there, and then maybe a tag match between them. That's what they'll probably do, and just alternate it. Or one, I just don't want it to be every week one of them has a match and the other one comes out and gets involved, and then the next week one of them has a match, the other one comes out the next week. That's fine, do it closer to the time of the main event. Just don't start
Yeah.
out and keep doing that, you know, every week now until the main event. So yeah, hopefully they'll keep it creative, but I'm not going to doubt it with these two being the women involved for the match. So yeah,
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
And what's quite interesting was the kind of juxtaposition in between, like I say, these two women and what we've seen with Moxley and Paige, because they've not interacted yet. That will come. But again, we've kind of not really had like a proper face to face, it seems, you know?
But I think that's like some of the best things about it, keeping them apart as long as
Yeah.
possible until we know it's definitely those two going against each other. So it kind of builds that anticipation to just see them turn their full attentions to each other. And yeah, the anticipation will definitely be worth it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Right, finally, before we, like I said, wrap up AEW, just want to talk about Jim Ross, the AEW commentator and, of course, WWE Hall of Famer, announced that his colon cancer surgery Wednesday was a success and he's beginning the rehabilitation process. He'd previously announced on May 15 he was diagnosed with colon cancer. Monty, again, a complete legend. A lot of people have said that he should have maybe been mentioned on WWE television, but we spoke about this on the Hall of Fame, and WWE are petty. But I think Excalibur and, like I said, the commentary team gave a lovely tribute to Jim Ross during Double or Nothing, and we wish him the best because no matter what WWE say, Jim Ross is the greatest wrestling commentator of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than best wishes, and I agree. I mean, I don't understand it. Don't know if we'll ever really get a true reason why Jr. is like one of those people who kind of gets the shaft. I don't know because you can't say it's AEW because obviously you you don't take that, you don't take going to AEW personally. So there's a lot of stuff that Jr. don't even get credit for besides commentary for what he did in WWE when he was head of talent and all of that. So uh, I just wish him the best. And he's been fighting stuff off and on for like a while now, 5 to 6 years at this point. So it's always tough when you can kind of tell someone is constantly. Trust me, I live in America, the American healthcare system. Don't nobody want to be in the hospital. I just want to let you know that right now. Don't nobody like it when we have to do that. So, uh, yeah, definitely wishing him the best. I'm hopeful that things are gonna go well. But he is, yeah, he's not just the voice of WWE, man. I mean, like they can say Michael Cole's the greatest of all time, and that's fine. He has raised a lot of newer fans. I don't really care or get so mad at it because greatest of all time is subjective. But the voice of wrestling, man, the voice of most of the moments that you really think of when you think about wrestling. JR voice is there most likely. So, you know, it is what it is. I think his legacy is set in stone with me. That's why I don't really get as deep into the murkiness of why WWE don't give him the respect he deserves. I just feel like it's a given, but I don't know. I hope that the only time they acknowledge him won't be when the last time you
Yeah.
acknowledge somebody. So hopefully they acknowledge him before that. But AEW has always kind of handled these things pretty well when one of their own are going down. So it was very classy of them.
Yeah, about that right. So the final thing I want to do, and Jackson, I want to speak to you about this. I want you to wrap up what we've seen with AEW this past what is it month or so with the Dynamites and of course the Double or Nothing, because you did say to me, and I think Gene had mentioned this as well, that you were more looking forward to Battleground than you were Double or Nothing. Did that change once you saw the pay per view?
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah. A lot of again, I think we discussed this previously, but there was quite a few matches that I wasn't not that I wasn't invested in, but maybe didn't care so much about because I felt that it could have been sort of AEW Dynamite content or just not really needed. However, a lot of the matches proved me wrong in terms of the caliber of what the wrestlers brought. So I must admit I was pleasantly surprised at how much more I definitely enjoyed this pay-per-view compared to how much I wasn't actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, and AEW does seem in a better place at the moment, doesn't it? Like I
It
said, as we
does.
head tooling.
It does. We were talking about AEW kind of struggling to sort of take off from the start of 2025, and I think at this point they're gaining some momentum. So let's just hope that they can keep with that and stick with that.
Yeah, without a doubt. So that is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the ban. Also now on Blue Sky, WNR Podcast, and Reddit. Monty, do you want to plug your stuff?
Yeah, at my Monty Pods
Yeah,
on Twitter.
nice.
That's about it.
And Jaxie
I'm on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter at Jaxie Scarlett.
and Gina.
You can find me on the same at Purple Pain.
And the double also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email at podcast at gmail.com and YouTube. And YouTube at the moment, which is great. We had a fantastic WrestleMania month, but we've just beaten that with our anniversary month. So technically, our anniversary show a month was bigger than WrestleMania. So I'm going to take that to my grave. The Double Up Podcast got the same time on YouTube to do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. That is it. Our next episode will be NXT Update with NXT Battleground. There's been a lot going on, but until then, I've been James Rhodes. I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thank you for joining me, Jaxie.
It's been fun. Watch this space. I am going to come back fighting with AEW. We've got there with WWE, but I've got some work to do. So I've got some homework. We'll come back to this and on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have it all, this is the thing, isn't
I
it?
can,
You're not,
James, and I will. I can,
well,
and I will.
and of course, the mind of Monty, yeah, congratulations on another win.
Greatest of all time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I understand you guys. I used to be like you.
Oh dear.
Montes.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Me and Tony Khan, we like this now. We tight. You know what I mean? I even got Triple H on speed dial. I'm good. Insider trading, baby.
Well, the only thing I can hope, and again, the genius of Gina joined us. Gina, the only thing I can hope is that we take him down at Battleground next week.
Oh my gosh, I just have to hope and pray that it works out better for me because it's not been working out well. You know, we keep going up and down like a heartbeat. So let's
Need no G site.
let's try and
Yeah.
hope that next time I'm more successful.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. But thanks for listening, everybody. And